Good evening, Magic fans. If you are a regular viewer, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, this is the Magic Happy Hour by Happy Hour Sports, and I am your host, Shell Michael. In last night's episode, we recapped the two Boston games, but literally as I was prepping for that video, the Portland game had been going on, and I just knew that it was going to warrant its own time and its own space. There were just too many pivotal sequences, too much juicy action for me to throw it into the other video and for it to feel rushed. So tonight, we just have to talk about last night's win, break down some of the box score. I want to discuss some of the other games around the Eastern Conference, both last night's slate of games and tonight's, what those games mean for Orlando. And then finally, we will look ahead to the game in Madison Square Garden tomorrow night, Wednesday, against the Knicks. Of course, you might be watching this on a Wednesday, so maybe I should say tonight's game against the Knicks. But first and foremost, Portland. They've been a scrappy bunch this year, and any real ball knower could have predicted that Orlando was going to have a fight on their hands. Shaedon Sharpe has been really blossoming out there in Portland, coming into his own. He's averaging almost 20 a game. Denny Avdia looking like he could get his first ever All-Star selection this year. He's putting down about 26 points per game, also chipping in about 7 rebounds, 5 assists per game as well. Drew Holiday, still the defender that he was in Boston. Toumani Camara is looking like a solid starter. I think Portland really just missing a few pieces right now, or maybe just a couple more years for their youth to get more experienced. But I really do like their squad. I gotta say, it's really unfortunate that they're having to contend with the whole Chauncey Billups situation. That is just a massive distraction. And when you have a team like theirs, the margin for error in the NBA is already thin enough as it is. It's even thinner out in the West. So I really just think it's unfortunate for them. But coming into the game, though, there was this graphic that I saw on Twitter that blew me away. And I'll see if I can add it either here or maybe somewhere in the comments. But the graphic was essentially showing defensive pressure, which they defined as the percentage of defensive possessions where they're picking up the opposing ball handler in the backcourt versus the opponent's turnovers on a per 100 possessions basis. So essentially, how quickly is this team pressuring the ball handler, vertical axis, and then how much is that ball handler turning it over, the horizontal axis? And they graphed a dot for every single team in the NBA from the 2013-2014 season all the way through the current 25-26 season. So we're talking, what was that, 12 years, 13 years? And the vast majority of the dots were under 20% of the time picking up ball handlers in the backcourt, and the vast majority were getting their opponents to turn the ball over between about 12 to 16 times per 100 possessions. There were definitely some outliers on there. I think I saw 14 of these little dots that were between 24 and 30% picking up the ball handler in the backcourt. I think I saw maybe 5 that were outside the main group that eclipsed over the 18 turnovers per 100 possessions mark. But even so, it was a giant blob of blue dots. And then all the way in the top left-hand corner of this graph, was the 25-26 Portland Trail Blazers, who were picking up their opponents 41% of the time in the backcourt and forcing about 20.5% about 20 and a half turnovers per game. That is an insane amount of pressure. And maybe I'm just a prisoner of the moment. Maybe I can be accused of what I talked about in my last video, that you can make statistics say whatever you want them to say. But let's look at their resume real quick coming into last night's game. They opened the season with a loss to Minnesota. Then they turned around and beat the Warriors. They lost to the Clippers. And then they turned around and beat the Lakers. They beat the Jazz by 2 and then beat the Nuggets by 2. That one was in an NBA Cup game. They lost a rematch to the Lakers. That must have really pissed them off, because then they came out the next game and handed OKC their first loss of the year. And then they let their guard down and they lost to Miami. And that's how they showed up to the Kia Center last night. And I just got to say, this game really shouldn't have been close. Orlando was without Jalen Suggs. Again, I think this is the third time this season. And again, only because it was the second night of a back-to-back. So Anthony Black started in his place. But for the most part, everybody on our team played well. Paolo gave us 28 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, only had 2 turnovers. He did miss some clutch free throws, which is absolutely part of the discussion that we're about to have. But let's look at some of our other guys as well. Franz and Wendell each gave us 19 points. They were both perfect from the free throw line. They went 10 of 10 combined from the free throw line. Desmond Bane, he was having a good game. He really was. He finished the night 22 points, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists. He had 0-5 shooting from 3 heading into the last minute of the game. That was concerning, of course, but it's the last minute of the game that I really want to talk about. The last minute of this Portland game. I just want to walk through everything that happened because I've had some harsh words for Bane in past episodes here, and I really want to give him his flowers when they're due. And on that note, I also want to encourage Tyus Jones, if you're listening, which you're probably not, but if you are, I will have nice things to say about you too, if you ever do anything to warrant them. But I said I wanted to run through the final minute of the game. Actually, let's pick it up with 1 minute and 15 seconds left in the game. Orlando was leading by 5 points. We had been comfortably in the lead most of the game, but Shaedon Sharpe and Deni Avdija did what you'd want your two stars to do, and they really had some strong showings in that final frame to pull it close. But with 1:15 on the clock, Desmond Bane draws a foul on Jeremy Grant, offensive foul, and again, that kind of extinguished some of Portland's hopes on offense, at least for the time being. Orlando gets the ball back, chance to add some insurance points onto that 5-point lead. Anthony Black brings it all the way up the court. He sees an opportunity out at the 3-point line to turn downhill and go for the dunk. Just monster attempt. I mean, he just winds up for it. But Deni Avdija defended it well. Black kind of bobbled the ball a bit, missed the dunk. Portland ball. Deni Avdija gets the ball on the other end and buries a 3-pointer over Wendell. Tries to say he's fouled, but no whistle. Play on. Blazers are now down by 2, so it's 110-108. Now Franz Wagner brings it up. It eventually gets over to Desmond Bane. He gets off a 17-foot attempt on the right-hand side. No good. And Deni Avdija and Wendell Carter Jr. hit the ground together. No whistle. I think the refs are probably saying, yeah, both y'all are to blame. So they, again, play on. Portland's still down by 2. 25 seconds left. Shaedon Sharpe brings it all the way up the floor. Goes in for a shot. Knocks knees with Franz Wagner. Franz is called for the foul. But on the shot attempt, AB swats it away, and it's called a goaltend. So they're about to give Shaedon Sharpe the 2 points to tie and a free throw to boot. They review the play. They see that Anthony Black blocked it cleanly. There's no goaltend, but the foul still stands on Franz. He does luckily get up. Like I said, they knocked knees, and it looked like he was in some pain for a little bit, but he did get up, finish the game. So again, it's 110-108 Orlando, but Shaedon Sharpe is stepping up to the line for his free throws. He hits the first, so they're within 1 point, but he misses the second. Franz Wagner gets the rebound, thank God, gives it to Paolo. 20 seconds left. 110-109. Portland probably should have fouled Paolo right away, but they didn't. Their interim coach, Thiago Splitter, San Antonio Spurs legend, is screaming from the sidelines telling them to foul, and eventually they do, but they fouled Paolo with 11.7 seconds left, and again, he picked up the ball at 20 seconds. So they wasted a lot of time. Paolo steps up with a chance to push the lead out to 3 because we're up by 1 at the moment, but instead he misses both free throws. Absolute gut punch for Orlando Magic fans. Paolo had made 6 of his 7 free throw attempts prior to those 2 misses there, but those 2 misses, I'm going to circle back and touch on this a little bit later. Those 2 free throw misses right there were like the start of Paolo's fourth quarter woes, it seemed. Portland gets the rebound off that second miss, and they call a timeout, which advances the ball up court. Score is still 110-109 Orlando, but 11 seconds left, Portland ball. Now, Portland inbounds this giant lob pass to Jeremy Grant, who inexplicably gets I don't even know what to call it. It's like a dunk without dunking. He got high enough to kind of redirect the lob back down into the basket over Paolo, which gives Portland a 1-point lead. But the most pivotal part of that play was that Paolo fouled him on that attempt. Jeremy Grant steps up and hits the free throw, completes the 3-point play. Now Portland is up by 2 points with 10 seconds left. So the score is 112-110 Portland. Magic call timeout. Now they only have 1 timeout left. Remember that. And for you parents out there, this is like that mystery mouse tool. That's going to help us later. I'm telling you, this comes back into play. So much happened in this final minute of this game. This is insane. So our ball, Franz Wagner inbounds to Paolo Banchero. He burns about 4 seconds before making a move to the basket. He's got Tamani Kamara in his pocket, bumps a shoulder with him to kind of get some room, and then he draws a foul on Deni Avdija. And kind of like Jeremy Grant on the other end, it was this weird like half dunk but not a dunk kind of shot. But it goes in. Tie game, 112, exactly 5 seconds left. Paolo's at the line because, like I said, he drew that foul on that basket. So we have a chance to put Orlando up by 1 point. And what does Paolo do? He misses the free throw, and Portland gets the rebound. They call timeout. We are now down to 4.5 seconds left on the clock. Tie game. Portland has the ball. They have a chance to obviously hit a game winner or maybe get to the line, hit some free throws to maybe seal the win, something. But again, it's looking bad for Orlando at this moment. The next play is where everything turned. Anthony Black is guarding Shaedon Sharpe. High hands, the whole 9 yards. Shaedon Sharpe's trying to inbound the ball. Now Shaedon Sharpe does get it in to Drew Holiday. He gets the ball, dribbles once trying to drive by Paolo, but AB was just coming off the line where he was guarding for the inbound, and Anthony Black pokes his little hand in there, knocks it loose right into Paolo's hands. And Paolo immediately and smartly calls that one last remaining timeout that I told you to remember earlier. Game is still tied 112. There's 1.9 seconds left. Orlando's ball. Obviously 1.9 seconds. It's enough time to get a shot off, but I mean, we're talking pretty small margins here. So Franz on the right sideline ends up inbounding on a play that we find out later was actually drawn up for Paolo. But Paolo couldn't get free enough, or at least he just couldn't get a good enough angle to give Franz a clean inbound path. So Franz Wagner instead has to inbound it to Desmond Bane. He's got Toumani Camara right on him. Desmond Bane's fading to his right, somehow miraculously hits this shot on a prayer. Nothing but net. What I love to see is that after the shot went in, Paolo's initial shock, it was like he realized it was real, and he was the first person to go wrap up Desmond Bane in a giant bear hug. Later on in his post-game presser, Paolo Banchero admits that Desmond Bane bailed him out, that, those missed free throws could have sunk the team, but instead Desmond Bane, saves the game. But just imagine the roller coaster of emotions Paolo went through in this game, because he did have a great game, right? So he's riding this high all game through 3 quarters. He was doing really well. He had 28 points in the game, but that fourth quarter was pretty rough for him. He only scored 4 points in the fourth quarter. 2 of those 4 were on free throws with about 3 minutes left, and then the other 2 were on that dunk that wasn't a dunk, whatever that turned out to be. But yeah, the roller coaster. So he missed 2 free throws and then fouls Grant on that lob. But then he hits the dunk that wasn't a dunk. Let's go. That's my guy. But then he missed the and one free throw attempt. But then he stole the ball. Oh my gosh. But then he couldn't get open on a play that was drawn up for him. But then Bane got the 3 to go down. So I'm just riding this with him, right? And so Paolo went from being our GOAT, greatest of all time type GOAT, to being the GOAT, like Bill Buckner in the '86 World Series type GOAT. And yes, kids, there was a time when being the GOAT was more about being the scapegoat. That was a bad thing, but that was before the greatest of all time thing kind of came around. But, then Paolo was the GOAT again. But then he was the GOAT again. But then he was the GOAT. But then he was the GOAT. It was just an absolute wild end. And I'm sure it was devastating to be on the losing end of this one. And with our apologies to the Blazers, but the final minute of this game just felt like a whole game in and of itself. The pure joy on everyone's face in that dog pile on Desmond Bane at the end. Oh, man. Mo Wagner's in there jumping around like a kid on Christmas morning. Jalen Suggs running up in his street clothes. Jonathan Isaac, our rookies, our two-way guys, our starters like, Del Franz, Paolo, AB. Everyone's just super elated, relieved. And I just know that all of Magic Nation feels the same. I know I did. And we know we just needed this one, right? This was a pivotal game for us. And honestly, coming into the night, it didn't feel like that. You knew you needed to beat a team like Portland, but you didn't know the weight that game was carrying until that shot went through and you see the relief on everybody's face. So especially with some of the games that are coming up in front of us, and especially with what our competition is doing, it was just a much needed win. Actually, let's go ahead and transition into exactly that. Orlando. The Magic now sit in 10th place in the East, which means we need some teams ahead of us to lose. Especially we need them to lose when we win to make up ground a little faster. Seeds 1 through 9 right now are as follows: Detroit, New York, Miami, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Philly, Chicago, Toronto, Atlanta. I'm still not a believer in Toronto or Chicago. I'm fairly certain they're going to fall off. Chicago, literally 2 days ago, was still in the first place in the East, and they've now dropped precipitously after dropping 2 games in a row. So I still think the other 7 teams on that list, though, are going to pose some problems for us this year. So I want to look at how they did while Orlando was having this, game-winning shot versus Portland. Detroit, they won in overtime versus the Wizards. If you have had your head under a rock at any point today, or for the whole duration of today, you wouldn't have heard about this. But in this game last night, Detroit versus Washington, Cade Cunningham scores 45 points. Sounds great until you look and see that it was on 46 shot attempts. So the efficiency was just garbage. But hey, they're without 7 rotation guys or something like that right now. So it's truly just whatever it takes to win. You know that Cade was going to step up and will them to victory, and he did exactly that. Miami, man, as much as I hate to admit this one, Miami scored on a buzzer beater of their own last night against Cleveland, which I'm convinced that they did solely to spite Orlando and steal some of our spotlight, but whatever. I'm not bitter. I am a little bit, actually. Chicago, the Bulls. Like I said, they've now lost 2 in a row because last night they lost to the San Antonio Spurs. That was a game where they actually led until Victor Wembanyama just decided to take over and start dropping in some threes. Milwaukee beat Dallas, which everyone's doing these days, so ho hum. Atlanta Hawks, they beat the Clippers out west. I mean, like, these are games that we need these guys to lose, and they just keep winning, and it's frustrating. But aside from Chicago losing, we really didn't benefit at all from last night's results. Yeah, Cleveland lost, but that's because Miami beat them, so that was a wash. And then in tonight's slate of games here on Tuesday night, Toronto wins against Brooklyn. Not good for us because Toronto's in front of us and Brooklyn's behind us. Would have loved to see that one reversed. And the New York Knicks beat the Memphis Grizzlies, who they've just completely mailed it in. Let's be honest. I feel bad for their fans. And then in another game that's just a complete wash, Philly beat Boston tonight by 2 points. We gain ground on Boston, but then lose more ground to Philly. So not great. But all of this sets up our next game, which is against the Knicks. Yes, we're going to have the rest advantage because New York just played tonight against Memphis. But this is a squad, the New York Knicks, that has been humming along this season like a well-oiled machine so far. They are 7-3 and now on a 5-game win streak. They are a perfect 7-0 in Madison Square Garden, which is where this game is going to be played tomorrow night. Us and them on ESPN. No less, another nationally televised game, which Orlando has not done well on over the last couple of years. But Jalen Brunson tonight against Memphis scored 32 points in this game. He went 11-19 from the field, and that includes 6 of 9 from deep. He was perfect from the free throw line, 4-4, I think it was, and chipped in 10 assists. This is in a game where all 5 New York starters scored in double digits, and they got another 13 off the bench from Jordan Clarkson, another 9 from Miles McBride, who's truly just there to hit threes. He went 3 for 6 from deep tonight. So, look, this is not the Tom Thibodeau New York Knicks. They're diving deeper into their bench this year. So I say that to say that Orlando's really got to be studying that scouting report, be ready for a dogfight, but we got to fight smart. We got to limit turnovers. We got to limit fouls. Obviously, we got to hit shots. I would love to see us put some key dudes in foul trouble. Brunson's been known to get in foul trouble at times, but truly, I would love to see Orlando target Karl Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby in particular. If you can get those guys in foul trouble, limit their minutes a little bit, maybe limit some of those crunch time minutes heading into half or heading into the fourth or the end of the fourth quarter. I think those would be 2 guys that, if we can take them out of the game with the foul trouble, make them play a little bit more tentative, that could go a long way towards us leaving Madison Square Garden with a dub. And again, keep riding these high vibes for us right now. So I'm signing off for now. Let me make a quick appeal though to anybody watching this still to please hit that like button below the video. Even if you already subscribe, every single like on the video does tons to help. Let's show YouTube's algorithm that there's some new Orlando Magic content out there, and I will keep bringing you the latest recaps, breakdowns, opinions, previews for this exciting Orlando Magic team. I hope y'all are staying bundled up out there tonight. in this frozen tundra that we call Orlando, Florida, which I think is hovering around 45 degrees right now. But I'm off to go get under a blanket myself. So, from all of us here at Happy Hour Sports and the Magic Happy Hour, I say to you, play that song. Good night.